And I'm snapping a pic. Great. Now I want you to turn to your right and face the wall. Alrighty, gotcha. And then turn again for me so I can see your back side. Oh, you're gonna love these pics. And then turn again. I'm gonna turn this way though because I don't want you to see.
Go this way?
Yeah. There's a slight delay, so you're just gonna hang out for just a second.
And you can do all this via Zoom?
Totally.
That's awesome.
Yeah, okay,
That's
go ahead.
pretty cool.
Go ahead and relax for me. Now I'm just gonna take you through a whole spiel. Yeah?
Yes,
All right,
please.
okay.
I can't wait.
Don't look at
Oh,
it.
okay.
All
I thought you were going to use that. Okay,
Well,
sorry.
we will. I just want to get you all lined up here, and then we're going to talk about posture. Because that's what it's all about. We
Oh,
are
yeah.
the posture people.
I told you.
Adam's going to want to jump in.
I told you about that kind. He told me actually he did want to jump in. He's like, I can't wait for this podcast, man. My posture's terrible.
You know, we do have the people that come in the door and they go, yeah, my posture is terrible. But we also have the ones that go, I believe I have great posture.
I bet.
And then
And then when they see that,
they're like, oh, maybe it's the camera. Maybe it's
Negative.
the camera.
now for him, should he at some point come over here to see what you're talking about? With
I'm
him?
going to turn it. I'll
Okay.
turn it. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I'm going to save that and then we're going to refer to these pictures right here.
Okay.
This is the blueprint that we always refer to, okay? 8 laws of vertical health, the physical health.
Yeah.
Now, the first one is vertical loading, okay? Ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, everything should be stacked directly on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And we should be able to form perfect 90-degree angles, okay?
Uh-huh.
The further we come away from this, the more pressure points we start to put pressure in different areas and our bodies start to compensate. So one of the things that we're looking at from the front view is we're looking for elevation. Does one hip sit higher than the other?
Oh boy.
And then we'll look up above, has that shoulder depressed now to compensate for the hip that elevated?
So if like my right hip comes up, then this left shoulder or
We'll
then
rotate forward.
is going to be forward
Correct, and
to
then
try
that-
to compensate because
Exactly.
just because of the hip.
That's right.
Wow. Okay.
That's right.
And is that where like I think we were talking about like you get like cross syndrome?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. I just went upwards. I didn't talk about down
Okay.
here.
We
Right.
just talking about the feet.
Yeah. So we're also looking at, does one foot turn out, right? Because rotation is one of the first mechanisms of compensation. Okay. So foot turns out, knee may not turn out as much. Hip will rotate to counterbalance the foot, and then the shoulder will counter-rotate to counterbalance that.
Yeah.
So now you have this whole corkscrew of things that are coming down as pressure onto the spine.
Yeah.
Right? And so one of the things that I mentioned was elevation. If the hip sits a little bit higher than the other, now there's even more pressure and almost like a shearing amount of pressure coming down on L4, L5, S1, which are usually the discs that people complain about the most, right?
Yeah, and so recently it's funny because I have a couple people that have been reaching out to me about that, and they complain about sciatica.
Right.
And then I say to them, "Oh, cool. So is it your lower lumbar, like L?" Well, I go, "What did the doctor say? Did he say L4 is?" He's like, "They herniated a disc or something." They're like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" I'm like, "Well, because the sciatic, right?" And so
Right.
that would be, I'm
Pressure.
guessing, yeah.
Pressure.
There you go.
Absolutely. It's
Boom.
absolutely pressure. So front feet, and we're going to talk about the sciatic nerve next, right? So everything should be stacked. Now, from the side view, dynamic tension, right? We should have equal pressure coming in from both sides. The front side of the body should be working just as hard as the back side of the body. One can't work without the other. Now, what we're seeing more of, let's just remember, same joints, everything should be stacked, but
Yeah.
what we start to see more of now is these hips start to shift forward. Okay, because we're just spending so much time sitting.
You're saying like a posterior tilt, or
Almost like a
'cause I know
forward
for me,
hip.
I have like this anterior.
Yeah.
Right. I think like my hips, like my butt's going out
Right.
this way, so I'm like, yeah, there's like this crookedness.
Yeah, so
Yes.
it's almost like a sway back
Yes,
that
okay.
happens, right? So
And that's you're seeing more and more of that just because people are sitting.
correct.
Okay.
Correct. So hips come forward, shoulders roll forward
Yes,
to
yes,
compensate
yes.
for that, and then guess what comes next? The head, right?
Yeah.
The head will always follow the hips. So now you have even more pressure in those vulnerable discs down there, and you have two sides, right? Which are not always created equal. We'll have one side that is posterior, and posterior, and then we'll have another side that's slightly anterior. So now we have that force coming in on the discs, but we also have that pressure, the dynamic tension that's now compromised. So these are the things that we're going to be looking at.
Boom.
Boom.
It's amazing.
One last thing, notice, and I shouldn't say last because it's equally as important, if not just as important. Check out the S curve of the spine. Okay, we have to have that curvature in the spine. When we have that curvature in the spine, it acts as a spring, right? When based on our activities or lack of activities, we start to flatten that out. When we start to flatten the spine out, then you lose that cushion that you had. Now it becomes just sheer force. So now you're going out for your run, and instead of getting that slinky effect where there's some cushion there, now it's just all pressure and compression going in on your discs.
Yeah.
Got all that?
Yeah. No, I love it.
All right.
It's amazing just how one hiccup, whether it's the feet, the ankles, can just have such an upstream or downstream effect on the entire body.
Yeah, it goes both ways. It's like
Yeah.
we're always focused on the hips. We're looking at where do the hips sit and what are they doing, or are they doing anything other than just kind of hanging out.
Yes.
So I took your photos, and I'm going to share them with you now. It's no longer a secret. No longer a secret. We're going to expose you, Joel.
Beautiful.
All right, boom.
Wow. Now those lines, these are like the planes
Correct.
where my body should be at.
Exactly.
Wow.
So where I line these up,
Holy cow.
where I line these up,
Whoa.
these are
That's ugly.
in between the ankles. Now I intentionally put it in between your ankles. Okay. Now where the rest of you falls, that's all you. That's you in raw form. Now where it should run is continue between the knees, through the pelvic bone, through the belly button, which now you can already see how it's slightly shifting. Through the middle of the chest, and guess
My head's not even there. Wow.
But there's hope, Joel.
Okay,
There's
thank
hope. Okay. So that's the front view. Also,
This is amazing.
Yeah, isn't it great? Now look at your hand position.
They're rolled forward. I mean, and I'm basing because my shoulders are rolled forward, so the hands are.
Correct.
They're here instead of on their side. They should be, I guess, externally rotate. Maybe just naturally just.
That's right. You
down
should
the
be able
side.
to see the
But
thumb
I'm
point.
here.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
right. But they're also different, right? This one's a little bit more forward than that one is.
Now, based on that, I know my body very well.
Yeah.
Pretty well. Could you already guess in your head where I feel pain and where I probably have an issue? Based on that?
Yeah.
Go-
Well,
you wanna-
my guess.
Yeah.
There's two places that I would think, right?
Okay.
I'm going low back and probably knee.
You're correct on both of those.
But that might also. I mean, I'm thinking there could be something going on right up in there too.
Yeah.
Because there's extra tension. We haven't talked about the side views yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say low back just because of how your.
And are you able to guess what side of the low back, or just in general low back?
If I were to guess, I'd say maybe the left more so than the right. But that could also fluctuate.
It fluctuates. Yeah.
But like based on like this, just the way your knee, your femur, your big thigh bone is sitting, it's definitely sitting a little bit further out from your body.
What now? Also based on that photo, just that photo, could you guess what knee I have issues with? Because I do have knee problems. Knee pain. When I run, there's only one knee that fires.
Is it your right side?
It's my right knee.
Yeah.
Yeah, every single time. I can go about a mile, and then it just starts to. I mean, it gets so bad. I have to stop. I'm just like, running's not fun anymore. I'm like, I'm not doing it.
Well, actually, I'll watch you walk later because that's part of what we do during our analysis. But my guess is that your right leg does not. There's no rotation at the knee joint, which means there's no rotation in the hip socket to the femur.
Yeah.
So instead of your knee absorbing right? Now it's just taking all of the blunt force. Also, if you're looking at your foot, your right foot turns out slightly more than the other,
Yeah.
right? So the knee and the foot aren't even looking the same direction. They're not pointing the same
Yeah.
direction. So instead of getting the knee to move like a joint,
Yes.
now you're turning it out with the foot, and you're
Ouch.
starting to shear away at everything in the knee.
Yeah. Okay.
All right?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
amazing. Wow.
Cool though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now side view. I love this.
Yeah. It's brutally honest. I mean, I hate it because it's brutally honest, but I love it too. This is a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
Like this is there it is.
No doubt. Now, remember we talked about side view and the dynamic tension of all of this, right?
Mm.
So ankle, knee,
Wow.
hip.
Hmm. I'm moving so
Shoulder.
much forward.
You are so forward.
Wow.
Which, guess what? It's going to put more pressure on your knee joint as well.
Okay.
Do you get any like mid back?
My
Something.
thoracic, that mid back, I don't necessarily get like pain,
Tension.
but it's tension. There's definitely tension there all
It's
the time.
working.
I have to work, like I have to roll and do like a lot of thoracic, like just opening up because it's constantly getting tight.
I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, me too.
And
Oh
then
my God.
Your other side
Same,
is
right?
same. Yeah, I mean you're forward.
Not as forward, I guess. But look
this
at the
is-
legs too. I mean, even my
Yeah.
feet are off. They're not even
Yeah.
on the same plane there.
No,
I wonder if I just subconsciously did that. Wow.
That is a question I hear a lot, but usually it's you.
Yeah.
Now look at your shoulder blades and notice how your hands are. Like we said earlier, they're in
Yeah.
front of you.
Yeah, wow.
Like if I could take your shoulders and pull them back, that's
Mhm.
that's like where they should be.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
that's
it looks
what-
even uneven too. My hips
Yes.
even look slightly uneven, which
slightly uneven, and if you look at the middle of your spine,
Yes.
it's over here.
yeah.
Now, what's really fun is
Holy
now
cow.
we can actually put you in
Back together again.
sticky form.
Okay.
So, as you said earlier, you said your hip looks a little higher. So I could actually put in your posture here. Now, the red is like severe,
Mhm.
right? So if your leg was way out there, I could do that just to show the difference between the two. This hip elevates. You could take this picture home to your wife, by the way. We're going to bring your hip forward, and then we're going to pull this back, and then we're also going to bring your head forward. Cute, right?
Yeah.
Now, I have to bring this back too. Bring the hip forward a little bit. We call this ski jumper position.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it looks like a little skier.
Now, this is if I were looking down at you. This is your nose, this is the middle of your chest.
Mm-hmm.
So this is your left arm. So this is your left arm on the sticky. We're going to take it and we're actually going to twist it forward. We're also going to use this picture as the reference. Your left knee turns out a little bit. Bam.
Mm-hmm.
The right knee turns out a little bit more than that. And then the right foot turns out more than the left. All kinds of fun sticky stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then if the head, I would say there's maybe a slight rotation, because if you look at your left side here,
Mm-hmm.
see how it almost looks like you're looking over your right shoulder. Your head's slightly turned to
Yeah.
your right. So
Yeah.
I'm going to take that and I'm also going to turn that. So from there, we can actually, our system will give recommendations, right?
Wow.
And this is information that's been gathered throughout all 25 of the clinics that
Yeah.
are national and then the international clinics as well. But as we input, it learns, and then it can identify postures, and it helps us come up with the ideal sequencing for you.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So we.
And so this thing is just it knows based on the method that these are things we need to do for strengthening, and then these are things we need to do for lengthening and like mobility, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and
Because Egoscue combines both, right?
it does combine both.
Yeah. Okay.
And I would say the main premise behind that is restoring balance and restoring the ideal position. And through the stretching, sometimes just by repositioning, you're also getting a strengthening component out of it too. So it's happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in
Wow.
order for this structure to get closer to that structure that we talked about earlier, there's some exercises that and that's where we're unique, is everyone gets their own customized program based on what we see in front of us, right? So
Wow.
even with the Zoom calls that we're doing, because of COVID, we're
Yes.
able to snap the photos. So like, what I do is I just do screenshots. I'll do a screenshot of somebody on FaceTime, load it up, and I can do the exact same thing. And I don't need a big space, and we're able to just see our clients. We haven't been bored, I'll say that. We've been super busy seeing clients, even new clients, through Zoom, FaceTime, Skype. Yeah.
How are people finding you more and more just through Zoom, you think? What's causing it? Is there anything you think that's creating more traffic even though everything's shut down?
You know what, in the beginning of this whole shutdown, I started to hear from a lot of our older clients that we haven't seen in a while, and I think part of that is because they couldn't get to their regular practitioners or their massage therapist or their chiros, or even the acupuncturist, because no one was open, right?
Yeah.
So it brought them back in a very nice way, because you know, one of the things that I love about this is the relationships that I build with people. And so for them to come back, I'm like, you know, it's so great that you're back, and I'm so happy that I could still help you even though we're in this time.
Yeah. And you know, I was just thinking too, I was reading the Egoscue book the other day, Pain Free, and the body craves movement and motion.
Craves, yes.
And I'm sure there's just a lot of people not moving right now, and then they're just like, what's going, you know, I'm guessing that plays into this isolation, this lack of movement, you can't go places.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And how nice is it to have a familiar face too? You know, just somebody that, and I'll tell you what I found with my appointment times, I'm actually spending more time at the front end just catching up.
Yeah.
How was your week?
Yeah.
How are you doing? And so that's been really nice too.
Yeah.
And from a therapy standpoint, being able to work with people from their homes, love it, because I'm able to see what they're using. I can say, hey Joel, that table right there that's to your right, let's use that instead of that couch that you were using earlier. I think you'll have a better result. Yeah. So I actually, what I've learned from this is I think all of our in-person clients should also have at least a couple of virtual appointments, so that we can be in their homes and like help them find better props, just make sure that they're doing things correctly on their own.
And then question on this.
Yeah.
I do this. You give me the prescription. Angie, thank you so much. See you later. I got the blueprint. When do I come back, test, retest? When do you recommend people, like, just like anything, we always should be testing, retesting. Is this working?
Absolutely.
You know, and then I'm sure as I evolve, then there's going to be new stuff to plug in. Like, let's do this. So how does that, what do you think?
That's right. So in the beginning, I like to see people, most people can only give me once a week. Twice a week would be my desire.
Really?
Because the body changes that quickly.
Really?
Yes. I had a woman.
I would think like 3 months minimum before you see a real change.
No.
Holy cow.
I had somebody that I was working with on a Monday who, she told me that I was performing voodoo on her because she couldn't raise her arms up, and by the time she was done, she called her mom. She's like, Mom, look, I can raise my arms. She's like, I don't get it. But I met with her 2 days later, and she had only done the exercises once with me and then once on her own, and her posture had already changed. So it happened pretty quickly.
Wow.
And you're right, as the body changes, the program has to change and evolve with you, right? Because they have to become more demanding. We also want to make sure that you're doing the right stuff, that you're doing it with the proper form. This software actually feeds right into an app.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
When I added your name this morning, you should have a link where you can actually, if you want to look at the app, I don't know if you want to do that right now, but it has timers, videos, explanations, pictures, so we're hitting all points. And for those that don't like the apps, when you're here, we can print it out for you.
Yeah.
But we also send it out via email, so now you have all the hyperlinks that you can click on. and we feedback forms come out, we're able to communicate. One of the biggest things I request of new clients is I need to know how you're doing. Even if I leave you with a set of exercises and something doesn't feel right, it's not about I'm going to keep working on it until
No pain, no gain.
yeah, which is what everybody does, right?
Yeah.
And so I spend maybe the first 2 weeks going, no, I don't want you to do that. I'm going to check on you, but I also want you to give me any feedback, because that's going to help me evolve your program if I need to at that moment, but it'll also help me when we meet again. So the last thing I want is for somebody to go home with their homework, and then the next time I hear from them is the day of their next appointment. So there's a lot that happens in the beginning, and that's when we really want to see our clients more often.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. And we have our lifers. I mean, I love my lifers.
Yeah.
We have a few of them that have been, they actually started out in San Diego with Pete.
Wow.
Yeah, back in the 70s. So it's really cool to have those guys that are still around too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know they got some knowledge to drop down.
Yeah.
I mean, they're living and breathing this for 30 plus years.
Totally. And back then, Zoom didn't exist, right?
Yeah.
And so what they would do is they'd film on VHS tape, them walking, their posture. They'd send it to San Diego. San Diego would assess, do the exercises for them, explain it, and then mail it back. So think of all that lag time that they used to have.
Wow.
So talk about evolution of technology.
Yeah. The cool thing is they were doing it back then, just with VHS.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's awesome.
Exactly. So this is really nothing new. Like this
Yeah.
virtual world that we're in right now, it's nothing new. We've been doing it as a company for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's next now? Now, so we've got this covered. What do we do next? Now you watch them walk.
Let's actually go out here. A scar on your thigh.
So when I was in 5th grade, 6th grade, just going back to the west. This is my guess. The Western. My diet was terrible. I grew up on Twinkies, sodas, one soda a day. I was allowed to have. Twinkies, Nutter Butters. Peanut butter sandwiches with white bread, no jelly, just peanut butter. Oh, and Capri Suns. So I had that for a long time. Anyways, long story short, I had a abnormal bone growth. I had this ball in my leg here, and it was like, oh, that's hard. My parents thought, oh, you must have got, maybe you played baseball, like a ball hit you, and you just got like this, some kind of injury. They let it sit, and then they went and checked it out, had an x-ray done. They're like, nope, that's a bone basically like growing out your leg the wrong way. So like, there's my femur, and then like this random bone growing up. So they're like, oh, that's no problem. So they just went in there and chiseled it off. And
It wasn't at the end of it though, was it? Was it just
no, it was right
coming,
here.
It was
literally
coming
right
out.
here. There was like a ball. And I guess they said, oh, it was growing really slow. They're like, but yeah, I mean, in a couple of years, it would have like ripped through your skin. I guess, it would have,
Wow.
It was going that way, yeah.
Interesting.
So I never had any, I don't know what I don't know, but I never had any like real, like I was able to run and everything, like nothing ever, I never started feeling pain in like my right knee until maybe, I don't know, 6-8 years ago when I turned 30, maybe somewhere around that. And once you turn 30, everything breaks down. So maybe then, but like it never hindered me. Like I'm sure there was some kind of effect, but I never noticed it.
Okay.
So.
I look at that and I go, I wonder how much that plays into your hip being a little bit higher too. And it's only because I know it hasn't been a problem, but we shall see when you start walking too.
Yeah.
Because you asked me about crisscross patterns.
Yes.
So if we're going this direction to the right side when you're talking about your knee that's bugging you, I wonder how much of that played into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason, again, I just don't think there was to me, I'm like, oh, that had nothing to do with it.
Right.
Because, again, the surgery was in 6th grade. How old was I? 10?
Yeah.
And I didn't start feeling knee pain until I was 30. So to me, I'm like, there's no way this caused anything, right? But
It can be, it's, not only is the body interconnected, but something that happened way back then can affect, because we've developed patterns, right?
Yes.
We stub our toe, we start walking differently, we create a new pattern. Then we hurt our knee, and then we create a new pattern.
Yes.
So now you start working with this just huge snowball or onion, because I like to use the onion metaphor because you're peeling, because as you start to work backwards, you start to peel the different layers away as well.
Yeah.
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 All right, mister.
Cool. What am I doing? Just
Take
walking?
my,
Just-
take my runway.
just
Take
walk-
my runway.
just
You're just
walk
walking.
regular.
You're just walking. We're watching to see how your foot lands. Adam's at your feet, looking at how your right foot lands different than your left.
You can see that? I feel great. I don't feel like anything's landing different. I feel amazing.
I'm sure you do. Now, walk again, but this time
Okay.
really pay attention as to what part of your foot is hitting between the right and the left sides. And if you can't, it's okay to say I don't know. If you
Yeah.
can't tell.
Yeah.
And you can walking a little faster may also give you a better idea.
I'm definitely noticing something, but
Yeah, what are you noticing?
I mean, okay, I'll tell you this. So I'm being very conscientious of the balls of my feet landing. So I do feel the balls of my feet doing on both feet.
Right.
The difference though I do feel is I feel a restriction in my right hip, and I almost feel like I'm like kind of forcing like this movement, like it's
right.
kind of jerky. I can't explain it, but it's like there's something where it's like it's just not smooth. It's like I'm like it's just
Yeah.
I can't
it's
explain
almost
that.
like you're flinging it forward.
Yes, I'm flinging, like one leg is almost dragging, and I can feel stiffness right now in my right hip.
Yeah.
So that I do feel. I'd have to go back and see which foot is flinging, but there is one foot is like it almost is gonna just like I'm forcing it. Yeah, it's not naturally moving.
Right. Well, go ahead and walk again, Joel. What caught my eye the second you took your first step was how hard you land on the outside of your right foot and then roll in. So go ahead and take a stroll. So you're landing on that outer part. I mean, I'm not even going up higher and talking about how your upper body's counter-rotating.
Oh my
and it's
God.
supposed to, but there's almost like a rocking.
Yes.
You're rocking as you're
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I do feel that. I almost feel like even just like feeling my walk, it feels heavy.
Yeah.
It feels like thump, thump, and I'm walking. It's like it should be like quiet, like you're just walking.
That's
But
right.
I feel like boom, boom. There's like that tempo, right?
Yeah. Well, and earlier you also mentioned how you're landing on the balls of your feet. Proper foot strike is going to be heel, coming across, and then coming up the ball of your foot, and then off your toes, right? All 5 toes. But you're feeling just the ball of your foot. So I want you to try something for me now.
Yeah.
I want you to put your hands behind your head, just like this, as if you're going to do a sit-up, and then you're going to pull your elbows way back,
Okay. And now, then walk.
and then walk. Pull way back and relax your stomach too. Well, is this difficult?
You
me
mean
ask
let the stomach just relax?
Yeah. Well, don't contract your stomach while you're holding your elbows back.
Yeah.
Just walk. Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you this. I mean, just you can tell anybody that's listening to the video, you can tell it's way quieter.
Way quiet.
Way quieter.
Yeah.
It just seemed, yeah. I mean, 100%. That's
What
the
about
biggest
your-
thing I noticed.
What about your foot strike? Can you tell if you're still landing only on the balls? Are you having a hard time with those arms back there, or what?
I mean, I feel tension because it's tight.
Yeah.
It's tight. I worked out and stuff, but I mean, the other day.
Okay.
But no, it's not killing me. But
Okay.
yeah, but I can feel it. I mean, I can feel when I did this. I mean, I could feel the stuff like
Yeah.
the tightness.
Yeah. On the front side or back side?
Back.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel.
Well, you're really strong back there. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I can feel the engagement.
Oh, we see it.
But and now I'm just I'm telling my abs to drop because there's a lot of tension. I'm like holding a lot in. So
Yeah. Breathe. And that's why I said to breathe too. 'Cause
yeah. I can't tell. I can't tell. I don't know. I don't have that awareness.
How about that hitch that you felt in your right hip earlier?
It less.
Yeah.
It's less.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's smoother. I don't know why.
Yeah. Magic.
Yeah.
Well, all we did change your upper back position to create change in your pelvis.
Great. This.
Yeah.
You're just
That's right.
resetting the shoulders to like right.
Right. And then the hips come back underneath you, and then all of a sudden that hip that you had a hitch in earlier is now fluid. Now you can just walk. Now can you bend down and touch your toes?
Yeah, I can. But I.
Should I do a drum roll?
No, I think I can do it. I think I'm gonna surprise you though.
Okay. Very nice.
So, and I had some physical therapist tell me this because he was like running me through these tests once, and he was training another physical therapist. And this caught my eye though. He said something about me. He goes, "Yeah, Joel, do something," and like I did it, but I'm like, I got all this pain and stuff. Like, there's something wrong with me. I know there's something wrong with me. And he said something to the physical therapist. He's like, "Yeah, you see what Joel's doing? Like, he's really good at like, almost like he makes it look good. Like I can make things look good. I think I could fool like the average. Like if you're not that good, I could fool you. Like, yeah, I can touch my toes, but I'm doing other things like probably to compensate, right?"
So get your heels against the wall or close to the wall. Now bend down and touch your toes.
I can tell you right now, I can't do it.
Yeah, you're really good. You're right. You were good at disguising it.
I mean, I'll fall
Because
over.
what you were doing was you're shooting your butt back to be able to get closer to the floor.
Okay, so if I do this, I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna fall over.
Yeah, you're right.
But I mean, how else do you touch your toes? You
Well,
don't do that by shutting your
What
butt back?
should happen, right, in a functional, go ahead and bend down. So right about here, right, keep going. What I'm looking at is how much of your pelvis is doing the bending, and then how much are you shooting out your butt to compensate where you stop. So come back up for me. So we're looking at hip function here.
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead and bend. I'm going to tell you where I see your hip stops, and then then you shoot your butt back. So
Okay.
go ahead and start going down. So I'd say right about there is where you start to compensate, and you bypass hip function, which means your pelvis is rolling over your femur. You bypass that and go whoop, and then now
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're touching the floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not right?
It is not. It is not. So what I want you to do, let's just use this wall. I want you to do a wall sit.
Okay.
And I want you to go, that's a great wall sit, but let's do it my way. Let's bring your feet closer together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like this.
Too close. Right there. Walk your feet forward. Yeah, keep going. You're not going to slip, are you?
No.
Okay, and then slide down. Now shove your lower back into the wall. Like really shove it into the wall. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I can.
Can you go down a little bit lower?
Yeah, I was gonna say like my quads are not engaged. Like I feel.
Keep going.
Okay.
There you go. Don't worry about your head. Shove that low back in the wall.
Okay. Should I go lower?
No,
Am I pretty
you're
good? Okay.
Wait in
Arms
the
up.
knees. No, you're good. Adam and I'll go have some coffee. So what we're doing here is one, make sure your knees aren't splaying out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So keep
Keep them all in line, man. Keep them all in
What
line.
I'm really focusing on too is that lumbar. Trying to
Yeah,
keep it.
you're flattening it, right?
Yeah.
What we're doing here is we are waking up your hip flexors, which are the primary muscle that's going to help get your pelvis to roll over your femur again. Okay. Because then when you bend down to touch your toes, you'll actually be able to bend down. At least that's
Like
what we're working
legitimately.
for. Yeah, like legitimately, not shooting your butt out so you could reach the floor.
When I'm doing this, also the lumbar is flat against the wall,
That's right.
and then these quads are engaged for sure.
Yep.
Or should I be feeling it also in my hamstrings a little bit, or
You shouldn't.
no?
You shouldn't.
Should it just be quads?
Yeah. Yeah. Not that I want you to intentional, like if you do feel it there.
Because you
wait
said
it
hip
out.
flexors engaged, which
Yeah.
would be like
The
here.
psoas, yep, right there.
Psoas.
Yep.
Because I don't feel that tightening.
It's shortening though, right? We're
Okay.
shortening when
Okay.
we're putting you in a 90-degree angle. We're also doing it to both sides, right? So we're creating a state in where the body can actually just release, right? Because when you're only doing it to one side, asymmetrical movement will always yield some kind of hang up, right? So we're forcing both sides to work here. Okay, go ahead and come up. Okay, now walk that out real quick. You're still a little loud, but you're not as loud as you were when you
Yeah.
first one.
Yeah.
Like this is more you. This is more you versus the arms up, right? Okay, so go ahead and try to bend down and touch your toes again. We could go closer to the wall since that was
Okay.
our test.
Yeah, that's a good test.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely closer, but
You're still falling for it, but you were actually
way closer.
Yeah, way closer. So
That's amazing.
Yeah. You could try that again.
Yeah. I mean, I feel
Because
like,
earlier you were shooting your butt out like all kinds of crazy back. Yeah, see?
There you go.
There you go.
And I feel balanced here.
Yeah.
I feel like
wow, that's amazing. Holy cow.
That
Jesus.
was, we will sanitize our hands after
Yeah,
that.
yes.
Yeah, cool. So that's one exercise, right? So
Yeah.
imagine what that would look like when you have 4, 5, 6 exercises that are specifically geared to get you more functional, more balanced, and then no pain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow.
Yep.
And then, so typical session will kind of flow something like this.
Yeah, yeah.
And then after you watch us walk, and then is there anything else that you typically will do? What is a typical appointment, like an hour?
About an hour, hour and a half. I'd say the first appointments are usually a little bit longer because we're
Okay.
getting more of your history.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit longer.
Yeah.
The getting to know you.
Yes.
And we really do, this is one of the great things. That's why I'm doing what I do, is because
Yeah.
just being able to talk to people.
I always say that too, like as a health coach, like the average doctor, you go into Western MD, they see you for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's your problem? Yeah, okay, and then here's a prescription.
Yeah.
Like people like you, people like me, we were spending an hour with you. I want to know all about you.
Yeah.
How can I really get to the root of your problem in 5 minutes?
You can. You
So.
can. Yeah. So we would obviously do more than just one exercise.
Yeah.
We go over the exercises with the client at the end of the day, make sure we answer all the questions, app is working, and then we check in with them. So
Yeah.
that it doesn't end when you walk out the door, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. Boom. Love it. Cool.